And so it became my turn, and I step into the middle of the circle, and it just comes out of me. I'm just like, my deepest fear is that if I'm not successful, then no one will love me. I won't be loved. And everyone came in for this big hug, and I just started crying, 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 crying. I'm like processing, like, what was this? Like, this thing was so deep inside of me, this success complex.
Hello, and welcome back to the Deep Rooted Self Love Podcast. I'm Nora. I'm a hypnotherapy practitioner, self love coach, and a mother. This is a space for exploring how the relationship we have with ourselves shapes every part of our lives, from the way we love, connect, and parent to how we show up in our friendships, family, and even our work and dreams. With this podcast, I hope to support you in building deep-rooted self-love, taking up space, and live a life and relationships that truly feel aligned with who you are. Today, I have an interview for you with Paige Rollison. She is a retired business coach. She actually used to be my business coach when I just started out with the deep-rooted self-love coaching. And I'm so excited to have her on. It's so kismet that we're now connecting again after I've decided to pause on my business, and I'm actually interviewing her on her journey of retiring from her business coaching. She talks about her journey from coming from the US, moving to Berlin, and now living in Crete. She talks about how she built her successful business coaching business whilst having many other business endeavors at the same time, to consciously stepping away and choosing her life as a mother and her life on the island with her family. We talk about the themes of letting go of an old identity, shifting into a new identity, redefining what success and achievement means in her life, and how that shows up now. I love recording this episode. Wherever you are on your journey of feeling that something new's coming, the thing that you based all your identity on just doesn't feel right anymore, this is a great episode to just allow yourself to surrender to what life has to offer for you next. All right, let's dive into this episode. Oh, hello, Paige. I'm so happy to have you on
Hello.
the podcast.
I'm so happy to be here.
Paige used to be my business coach when I just started with my coaching practice, and she
Yeah.
was so helpful in setting everything up and getting my first clients through the door, and yeah, just understanding what I'm really
Yeah.
doing. And you were pregnant actually when we started working
Yes.
together. I still remember at the end of our coaching process, you told me like, yeah, I'm actually pregnant.
Yeah. And so, yeah, wow, I can't believe
And
how long that's been.
And then for the second child of yours, we were pregnant at the same time, I'm pretty sure. Because I remember
Yes.
you posting some stuff on Instagram of like kind of supporting women who want to go back into work while they're having babies. And yeah, so much has shifted. So I'm so excited to dive into that with you.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Do you want to just tell me a little bit, where are you based right now?
Yeah, so I'm based in Crete, living that very small town island life with my husband and my two kids. He's from here. And we spent, almost 8 years in Berlin before that. And then before that, I had was born and raised in the United States in Atlanta. So my journey's been a little bit unconventional, and I can't believe now I've lived in like three different countries. It's kind of crazy. You can probably relate. So yeah, we're here now. We both left, we started a completely different life when we moved here almost 2 years ago. And yeah, it's still just getting started. So,
Yeah, because
well,
we
yeah.
haven't spoken in like such a long time. I remember the last information that I got from you was when you posted on social media, "Hey, I'm moving to Crete, and I'm just basically closing down my coaching practice for now." Do you want to just tell me how you came to that
Yeah.
conclusion or how that happened?
So it's a really long story, but it was a process that was building for probably 2 years
Mm.
before I had really surrendered to it. Um, you know, I had this whisper the whole time, not the whole time. I think about after like a couple of years, after I really got into it and I started achieving all of these goals that I had set out to achieve, because I used to be hardwired for success and achieving and climbing and reaching goals. Like that's how my brain really used to operate. And so that was very much how I was operating it within my coaching business. Just trying to hit goals and really defining myself by that.
Yeah.
And a few years in, I started to feel a little inkling that, what am I doing? What's the point?
Mm.
What's the purpose? And, as you know, the my coaching practice was like connected to this spiritual wellness, well-being space. So it almost felt on paper very purposeful.
Mm.
I'm working with people, helping them discover their purpose and discover their talents.
Mm.
Um, and yet, why is this not so, 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 so fulfilling,
Yeah.
And I have lots of insights about that, but basically there was a whisper that started that just slowly started to get louder and louder and louder over a period of time. And when I got pregnant for the first time and then the second time and tried to I went through so many identity shifts through that process that eventually it just came to a screeching halt. So,
Mm.
yeah, we
And
can dive into
yeah,
the
how
different chapters of that.
I would love to, as many details as possible. I would love to just hear. So, how long were you doing your coaching business, and when did you feel like the whisper started?
So I was doing like digital marketing consulting since I was 22 and I'm 35 now. I'm about to turn 35. So that was my background ever since I finished school.
Mm.
But then at some point I got into the social media, the wellness space, the spiritual space. And this was around COVID actually. So I'll just take you back to, my like before I started Your Light Space.
Mhm.
I was living in Atlanta. I knew very quickly that the traditional 9 to 5 was not really my vibe, and it's not where I wanted to be. It's not what I was going to do. I wanted to travel. I wanted to have freedom. Freedom was always the thing that really drove me. And this was around 2013. So remote working was starting to become a thing. Social media for business was starting to really become a thing. I think we had like the first versions of like Instagram as we see it today, vlogging, like all that. And so I was looking around me and I'm like, okay, what are the people who are traveling and having this freedom that I want? What are they doing? And they're working from their laptops. They're, web developers in marketing, building websites. And so I kind of reverse engineered how to do that. So that's what got me into that line of work in the first place.
Mhm.
And through that, I was freelancing. So I was already working with like solopreneurs, small businesses, entrepreneurs, like, these small scale
Mm.
clients. Um,
And you were doing marketing for them, right? So
yeah,
you transitioned then
exactly.
into teaching them how to do their own marketing, basically.
Exactly. I was doing the landing pages, the marketing
Yeah.
assets, the content, like all the
Mhm.
things, right? And I was just like, a 23-year-old flying by the seat of her pants and, climbing this mountain. I was like, okay, here's a
Mm.
mountain. I'm climbing, I'm climbing, I'm climbing. This was my first time that I really got acquainted with that complex that I had of climbing and achieving.
Yeah.
Um,
Which
and
is
I
so
was
your
making
human design, I feel like, right? Because I
It
looked up your
is.
human
And then I didn't
design.
even know human design existed at that point. Like, why didn't I know?
So I don't want to interrupt your story, but you can touch on a little bit if you know a
No,
bit about your human design as
it's so
well.
true. It's so my human design. In hindsight, I'm like, damn, if I only knew that like 10 years ago, like what would have happened?
Yeah.
Um,
But I feel like it's almost like you
so
can know
I,
these things, but like unless you really feel
yeah,
them in your body, like step by the
so
experiences
true.
you make, like it doesn't really, you can't really apply it
It's
actually.
it's so true. It could have hit me in the head, and if I wasn't ready to like really understand that and absorb that information at that time, it just would pass you by and make
Yeah.
its way around again and again and again,
Yeah.
which it did.
It
Um,
always does.
so. Yeah, I became self-employed. I built this successful business. I was making, great money, experiencing, oh, freedom. Okay, this is what it looks like. This is what it feels like for me. And then at a certain point, I was like, all right, I'm ready for the next thing. I want to move abroad. And I always knew that I was going to live abroad. Like, I always knew I wanted to travel and just not live where I was.
Mm.
Even since I was like 6 years old, I have memories of like going outside and like I have a specific memory of going outside in my backyard, sitting at a creek. And I think as a 6 year old, it felt like this enchanted, beautiful forest. And I would
Mm.
just close my eyes and like visualize like living on a beach, the sun, wearing like a big hat, like being
Oh,
this like, independent woman. And so I don't know, I just always had this
yeah.
thing, like my soul knew, like, okay, you're gonna leave here from at some point.
Yeah.
So it was time. It was time to go. And I sold everything. I got rid of my car, sold all my stuff, packed two suitcases and a backpack, and booked a one-way ticket to Berlin,
To Berlin.
where
Why
I had never
Berlin?
been. Because at the time, so I was like in this tech startup scene, right? I was
Mm.
doing all my gigs, all my clients were like these
Yeah.
kinds of businesses, these kinds of founders. And I'm like, okay, Europe, I need a visa. I don't want to work in corporate, like stay away. I need a visa though. And Germany offered these flexible visas. This was before the digital nomad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now many countries offer this, but Germany was the first. Germany was very innovative in
Interesting.
that sense, if you
Who
believe
would
it or not.
think?
And so, yeah, I was like, okay, where is this happening in Germany? It's got to be Berlin. And so I just went to Berlin. I didn't know anyone. I'd never been there before, had no idea. I was just like, I'm going to make this work. And I was 25 at this point. And, there it was like, okay, here I am at this next mountain. It was a leap of faith. I'm like, okay, hopefully my clients don't fire me because I had changed time zones. That worked out. And I eventually made a life for myself in Berlin, offering the same kinds of services,
Hmm.
getting involved with Beta House and other big brands there. And yeah, eventually, COVID came and it was like, okay, really, what am I doing? Like, I'm freelancing, I'm doing this. I took on these interesting roles at this company. I became like a leader there. I became somebody there. Um, but what am I doing this all for? Why am I doing it for these people and not myself,
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people had a bit of a spiritual revival when COVID came because we all had to
All had to
like
go inward.
yeah, right? Like,
Yeah.
don't you think? Like, it got so quiet. We were so like, depending on which way you see it, I see it as we were like so oppressed for a period of time that we like all had to be like, wait a minute, what
What's
are we
that?
doing
What's
here?
that higher connection?
What's going on here?
Yeah, totally.
And
I mean, so
so
many people went from just partying all the time to like exploring
yeah,
yoga. I think everyone, wherever you
yeah.
were on your spiritual journey, you got just a bit closer.
Definitely. I think
Yeah.
there was really something, it was a big wave. It was a big like glitch in the matrix.
Mm.
It jolted a lot of people, and I was one of those people. I was always spiritually connected, but I was like, wait a minute, what am I doing? What's the point of all of this? And so then I discovered like, oh, I could offer these services to people who are helping other people,
Mm.
people who are like helping others discover themselves, discover their, heal. I lived a long time with PTSD from childhood. So I had like a soft spot in my heart for people who were doing inner work and emotional healing. And I saw that they're struggling and I offer what they need. So
Mm.
that's when I created Your Light Space.
Interesting.
And that was another big, mountain for me to climb. This was, all right, I'm going to brand this in some interesting way. I'm going to become like a personal brand in this space. Everyone seems to be doing this on Instagram. So I better get comfortable creating content and making videos.
Mm.
And so I, took a big leap because that was a big deal for me at the time. And I started creating content. And then people around Berlin and around the world started finding me.
Yeah.
And my business started growing really, really fast. Um, so
That's
that was the birth of your light space. Like that was the birth of that line of work in that context
yeah.
for that community.
Yeah, really cool. But you said like it grew really fast because I can imagine if you work with big corporate companies before and then going to, small healing spaces that like aren't, how was that transition? Like
This
also
was like,
financially.
well, I kept my role for a while with Beta House.
Okay.
So and then I had other roles. Like I was always stacking all of these gigs. I didn't have limits. Like I
Right.
literally didn't have limits. And in hindsight, I'm like, well, Paige, like, yeah, okay, we should have had some limits. Like,
Did you
but
ever feel
I
burned
didn't.
out? Like did you ever feel like tired or was
Eventually, yeah. Eventually it all came kind of crashing down, but for a while I was just, you know, I had the freedom and flexibility because that's what I demanded in these other jobs.
Mm,
I didn't take like traditional 9 to 5s. I was like,
mm,
I'm going to work remotely. I'm going to Bali
mm.
next month. If you don't like it, I don't care,
Yeah,
whatever.
amazing.
But so I made space and I started doing it, and it was so intoxicating and so exciting
Yeah,
and, genuinely so fulfilling for a long time that I just found endless capacity to do
that's
it.
so beautiful.
And the money was good. And then, you start to learn all the nooks and crannies of that space of like, okay, the marketing message is about money and everything's about money. Everything's about self-worth and connected to money. And if I heal, then I'm going to make more money. And you kind of start to see these dark shadows of the like spiritual biz coaching
Hmm.
world, you
What
know?
can you tell me more about that? What do you mean by dark spaces?
Like after a while, so I came from this very like tactical, strategic background. And I'm like, all
Mm,
right, let's do a strategy. Let's like build your marketing campaign. Let's work on your business model. And then you come into this space and it's like, okay, you see these like sort of business coaching influencers. They're talking about how to, let's heal your inner child.
mm,
And that's going to get you to this revenue goal.
mm.
Let's talk about self-worth. And they're approaching it from more of an emotional
Yeah,
and energetic place.
yeah,
And for me, I learned like, okay, wow, there's so much to be said there. There's actually a
yeah.
lot of interesting work to
Oh.
do related to
So
that.
you do support that way of approaching
Yeah,
business? Okay, because that's what I wasn't sure if you felt like people were taking advantage of people's
I do
low.
though.
Okay.
I do. I was like, okay, that's really interesting. There's these
Yeah.
different components of growth. It's not
Mm,
all strategy and structure. It's also like, there's an emotional, energetic identity aspect to
mm,
it. But then you see, or I saw, eventually like, oh wow, there's like a real shadow here. Like
mm.
there's some, foul play happening here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, it's fake. A lot of,
Yeah,
a lot of it's very
it's
fake.
interesting because I feel like I mean as we've worked together and as I've built my own business over the years, I really feel like sometimes you can get really lost almost in
Yeah.
the inner child healing side of growing your business. I mean, most of the clients I used to work with, I didn't work on like, growing your business or anything like that because I don't see that as my expertise, just like
Yeah.
relationships and all that stuff, where I feel like it's very correlated, the inner child healing and the
Yeah.
self-worth to how your relationships show up. But I felt like sometimes because you can always heal more, and sometimes I feel like you just need the strategy and you just need that
Yeah.
masculine
Yeah.
side.
You have different seasons for different
Yeah, totally.
different things. And I really value this kind of work. It's served me really, really well
Mm.
as a person, receiving this kind of support and going on my own inner journey.
Yeah.
But I think it's easy to get caught up in that and almost, I think sometimes I don't want to say the easy way out, but I could see very easily how easy it is to make money off of that message.
Yeah.
Like, because you're offering people what looks like maybe a more chilled path.
Mm.
Come and let's meditate. Let's do this
Okay.
healing ceremony under this full moon and manifest our
Mm.
20K months rather than, hey, let's stretch your brain and
Yeah.
learn about this boring business shit that's
Yeah.
actually you really need to just like sharpen that tool and learn this, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I can
It's
completely understand that. Yeah, 100%. And
so this was a struggle for me. This was something I felt very conflicted by that I think contributed to that whisper of, hey, maybe this corner of the internet is not really
mm,
for
yeah,
you.
yeah, interesting. Yeah, okay. And then when did when did those whispers become stronger, would you say?
I think, those whispers were starting this whole kind of seeing these shadow aspects and being like, okay,
Mm,
wow, this is what I'm competing against. I'm competing against like, you know, this message which I find incredibly fake to, what I'm offering. But
yeah.
then also I'm in my own process of placing this standard of perfection on myself
Mm,
because over the course of 1, 2, 3 years, I had built a brand and I was someone with a wait list of clients. I was someone with people reaching out, come on my podcast, speak at my mastermind, give a workshop here, can I interview you for this blog? Like,
mm,
I felt like, okay, I'm becoming someone visible here. I would, in Berlin, I would even get recognized at like yoga class or the
yeah,
flea markets. And so for me, I felt like, oh my God, like I have to maintain this standard of success, basically.
yeah,
I have to keep my
interesting.
business at a certain level and I have to keep hitting these goals and like reaching these little mountain peaks. Otherwise, who am I if
Yeah.
I'm not successful? Like who I'm a fraud. Like what I'm seeing here, that means I'm going to be a fraud.
Mm,
So
yeah,
I was like deep into this very toxic process of like perfectionism, if
yeah.
you will. So both of these things were happening at the same time. And then when I got pregnant the first time, you know, I was working right up until like a couple weeks before the birth. I was taking
Wow.
clients, it was going, and I was like, all right, we're just gonna like snap back into it. I don't have time to think about the fact that I deep down don't really want to do this. Now I'm gonna have a family to
Mm,
provide for.
yeah.
And oh, also, we want to leave Berlin and move to Greece. So we're going to move. We're going to embark on this big transition. So let's just keep things rolling
Were you the
for a
main
while.
provider of your family or how?
No, not even. I wasn't the main provider. My husband, he's built his own career in tech. He's a
Mm,
product designer. But, for me, it was like, it was more about the identity. In
mm,
hindsight, I've realized that it was more
yeah.
about maintaining this person who I am and like, okay, how is motherhood going to play into my personal brand and who I am?
Because this is the
How is,
problem when you're in the coaching space as well, right? Like it's
yeah,
on one hand, it's so beautiful because your life experiences make you the person that you are, and like that's what like kind of sells what you teach other people. But at the same time, it's also just let me live my life sometimes and not have to make this into like my brand. You
yeah, yeah. But
know?
when you're so deep into that psychological like cycle, you don't give yourself that grace. It just feels like it's all or nothing. I better just
Yeah,
keep it going. I better
yeah,
keep figuring it out. Okay, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out.
yeah.
So I gave birth. I waited like 3 months, which I feel like when I would talk to my German friends,
I
they're like,
know.
"Are you insane?" Like
Yeah, totally. I mean, in Germany, you have, but since you lived in Germany, you should have gotten 12 months of maternity leave
I
support.
could have, yeah. And eventually I did. Eventually I did take it.
So you took it
Um,
just later then in the end.
yeah, I took it much
Amazing.
later.
Yeah. But that
And
is crazy that you even had that support, but you
yeah,
still didn't take it, right? So that just shows
yeah.
how little it is maybe about the money in the moment
Yeah,
and
it
how
wasn't
much.
about the money. It
Yeah,
was
wow.
really about this like thing that, oh, I've built this thing. This is me. This is who I am. I had my identity very intertwined with my profession, which is what
Yeah.
it was. I was seeing that as my purpose, which I think many do, especially in that space. It's like
Yeah,
your sole
totally.
purpose, soul work. Which it is. It's part of your soul's mission. It is
It can
part of
just
your work.
change, right? That's what
Yeah.
was my experience. Like I was so shocked, and I heard it from so many people while I was pregnant. So many people like so many people changed their entire profession, especially in the coaching space, funnily.
Yeah.
People just want to do something completely different. And I was like, I have so much purpose in my work. I love my work. Give me as many clients as you can. Like
Yeah.
every single session gives me more energy. And then I started getting pregnant, and I was like, whew, this is actually getting really hard. And
Yeah.
then, like, for me, it also was similar as with you, where it just like kind of dragged along. So I'm curious how it is with you, because for me, client sessions at some point, they just felt they didn't like give me energy anymore. They took energy from me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I feel like that's my theory, because you give so much in motherhood. Like you're just there for another human, which is
Yeah.
lovely. And if you are a coach or you've been a coach before, you probably love motherhood in a lot of ways as well, because it's again this tending to someone else and stuff. But it's almost like there's no energy left for other people
Yeah.
that are not your family.
Totally. I mean, even during pregnancy, when you're like, you're
Mm,
growing a human
yeah.
and you're about to enter into a portal,
Yeah.
essentially, like a black hole,
Yeah.
a beautiful black hole.
Yeah.
And, I also heard about this like ego death, identity
Mm,
shift. I was like, consuming all of the like wellness motherhood content
yeah.
and seeing people who had done it, who were
Yeah.
also like business consultant coaches having this
Yeah.
thing that similar to what I thought I had. And I'm like, okay, so I go through that. And then I, also just at this time, wait, was it? Yeah, around this time during right before I got pregnant, or right as I got pregnant, I was also offered another role at this company that I had been gigging for, like a more important role. Like it was like, a head of marketing. It was
Mm,
something a little bit more elevated and higher level. And so I took it because I'm like, oh, this will provide great stability for me
amazing.
because still deep down, this is not really a lot. This something feels weird about my business
Mm,
coaching thing. So I
mm,
took that in the background. And so when I came out of my postpartum time, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to dive back into business coaching. I'm going to launch Bloom again. I'm going to launch all these programs again. Let's go, let's go. And I have this new role, and I'm moving countries
mm.
like 3 months later. And I'm not sleeping.
Oh
Everything
God.
about my life feels completely different. I am completely different. Okay,
Mm,
cool. Like I went through that identity shift. Check, done.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was hard. Oh man. Woof. Like glad that's over. Like what I didn't realize was there's a tsunami on the horizon coming towards me that I don't even see yet. Like I don't even
Yeah.
it's not even like it's just like a little horizon. Like, oh,
Yeah.
wow. And so we move countries and this was the beginning of 2024. We move countries. My son's 4 months old. I'm in this new role. I'm like, cool. Things are feeling like stable. It's like the one thing in my life that I'm like, certain about.
How many hours did you work then?
Part-time. It was
Part-time.
part-time and it was based in the US. So with time zones, it felt like, okay, manageable. Something I was already used to anyway.
So basically working when the baby's sleeping
Basically
and then
just
all day
always
being
working.
mother. Oh
Always
God.
working, pretty much.
Deep.
And then 4 months into postpartum, it was like the tsunami started to arrive.
Mm.
I got pregnant again. And I hate that I just related that to the tsunami that
You
arrives,
got
but I
four
was four
months
months
postpartum.
postpartum. Yeah, between 4 and 5 months
I
postpartum.
didn't realize how close your kids were in age.
They're
Wow.
14 months apart. Yeah.
Wow. That sounds tough. Beautiful, but tough.
I basically have twins now. That's how
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine that's how it is. Like,
Yeah.
so this happened. This was like, okay, I'm pregnant again. Wow, okay. We're doing this again.
Yeah.
And I was this feeling of wanting to wind down your light space was only getting louder and louder. Like I was launching a program. I had clients, but why it was so hard to deliver the program. It was
Yeah.
so hard to like, you know, really be excited to create
Yeah.
content and do the marketing and the sales. And also, like, seeing clients was always nice, but it wasn't, it was kind of like what you're saying, where it's starting to drain energy a little bit.
Mm.
So this was only getting bigger.
Yeah.
And then, so by this time, I had been in that new role for almost a year. The
Mm.
company was doing this big rebrand, and I came in for that. And now, so this was like I found out I'm pregnant in February, and then by like April, May, the company lays off 75% of their workforce, including me.
Oh, wow.
And
Wow,
so
it's
this
almost like
was,
the universe was just like, you're not supposed to. Also, that you got pregnant so quickly again. Like
yeah,
when you
don't
said that, I was like, yeah, that's
yeah,
probably the
yeah,
universe
universe is
telling you.
already giving me stop signs. It's
It's
already
like
like, okay,
motherhood is
girl,
is
like
is it for you now?
you need more? You need me to like go louder? Here we go. Here's your like security. Like, oh, secure, predictable. Yay.
Yeah.
You know, and they lay me off.
Wow.
And this was my worst fear for
Hmm.
that period of time. I'm like, okay, I'm winding down your light space. I just moved. I'm pregnant. Like the worst thing that could happen to me right now is that I lose this job while I'm pregnant and unemployable
Hmm.
because I'm gonna have a baby.
Yeah.
And this happens. And what I
Did they
realize
have to
now is
give
like,
you money or anything like that?
not really, because I
No.
was contracting. It was,
Okay.
it's kind of the United States can really be like the Wild West of business
Yeah.
sometimes. And, I did have to get lawyers involved. It was a fight. So it was very taxing. Like it was a really hard period of time. Um,
Because in Germany, I'm pretty sure I learned in university that they're not even allowed to fire you while you're
oh, forget
pregnant.
about
Like
it. Like
you're the
Germany, this
last
would have been
person that
like,
they could fire.
no, this was US based and yeah, they don't care,
Mm.
basically.
Well, it's what you must have needed in that moment, right?
I guess it's what I needed. So yeah, I'm halfway through my pregnancy basically, and I'm like, okay, and now we stop. And it on paper, it was like, the worst thing that could have happened, but in reality, up to that point, I had done well. Like I was okay, everything was fine financially, and like we were not, gonna be homeless or something.
Yeah.
But again, it was more about the identity. It was more about like, okay, like what do I have now? Who am I
Mm.
really now? I'm just pregnant in between countries, feeling lost. Even this situation, I still cannot be bothered to like go and revive my business coaching again. Like I'm really starting to give in at this point that it's
Yeah.
like it's over. I don't
Wow,
want that.
I'm curious at that point, how was your message growing up around motherhood and having children and working? Because when you said earlier that even as a child knew you wanted to make a lot of money and you wanted to become very successful, I'm super curious how your parents
It's
came up.
really, I think about that sometimes. Like growing up, I I had a lot of trauma growing up. I had father absence issues, and
Mm.
then my stepfather, who was like my dad, was killed in 9/11, and my family got completely ripped apart. Like that's a whole other thing that I
I'm
think,
so sorry.
yeah, it's wild.
Mm.
So that's like a backpack that I've carried around my whole life and maybe needing to always be strong. So I think that's something I picked up in childhood and always needing to be self-sufficient. I
Mm.
think because through that period I really had to be like I couldn't be a child anymore. I had to be like,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think there's something there. But regarding money, it's interesting because I never knew the financial situation of my household. Like I always had whatever I needed. We were able to do things we wanted to do. And, if there were money struggles, I never really heard about it. So luckily I didn't have this like very negative programming. I didn't have like a bad view of people with money or wealthy people.
Mm.
And then I met my mom remarried and my stepdad, who's now been in my life for like 20 something years. He's one of my best friends,
Mm.
mentors. He was an entrepreneur and did
Okay.
very, very well. And I remember he sat me down when I was in high school and he like showed me this card. I don't know where he got it, like maybe from like the IRS or something. And it just was like every year, it was like from 1987, 88, 9, 90, and through the 90s, through the 2000s. And it was just like the like dollar amounts. Maybe it was like net profit or
Yeah.
something. And there were many years where it was just a line. It would be
Hmm.
like, it was basically like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
And I don't really remember the conversation or why he showed me that. I know there's must be a reason, but I think I got something from that moment of like,
Mm.
okay, wow, like you can go up and down, you can build, like obviously the lifestyle that I was now having was very interesting. We were traveling a lot, but always very humble. Like my mom was brutal. She like wouldn't even let me, like if I didn't have a job, it was like if you make $1, I'll give you $1. If you make
Okay,
two
but
dollars,
there you
then I'll
already,
give you $2. If you want to go on spring break, if you want to buy the car, okay, it's 10,000, bring me 5,000 and it was always very much like
I mean, I think it's a very good way to bring up a child
I
and like
think it's
have a
good.
relationship to money,
Yeah.
but it does probably explain, not necessarily that it's a bad thing or anything, but it does explain where your working mindset came
Yeah.
from. And
Yeah.
also, if you think about it, I know we said earlier that we don't want to talk too much about like self-worth being connected to making money, but still,
No, but
like
it is.
I
Yeah.
do think there's a connection of like thinking,
Yeah.
okay, you always grew up with like being able to afford the things that you want to afford, but and never with much negative money mindset. It probably did
Yeah.
help you in your years in business a lot.
It definitely helped. I think because the whole time, what is the thing that has always remained true is it's about freedom. And the
Mm,
reality is, okay, freedom is a state of mind, right? There is that construct. But also, okay, yeah, I want to live where I want to live. I want to have time freedom. And in
mm,
this society, I'm not gonna like move to the Amazon rainforest and like go
mm.
off grid. Like
Yeah,
I have a job. I'm gonna like have, I need money. I need to
yeah,
like participate in society. And this is how we do it. We do it through money. And I'm not gonna make a million
yeah,
stories up about that, about how
yeah,
it's bad or it's hard. Like it is what it is. And I want to make money because money grants you certain things.
totally.
And that's just the reality of it. But I remember in 2022, actually, I was at this little tiny like festival. It was like this conscious gathering where we were like doing workshops all day, basically. There was no music. It was
Mm.
like raving was illegal at this festival. You're
Oh,
not allowed to
okay.
rave. It was
Oh,
all about
cool.
workshops.
I should.
But there were some illegal raves. And I went into this workshop and we had taken some plant medicine dose of peyote actually, and it was my first time sitting with that. And they instructed us to part of the workshop was going around in a circle, this big circle with like 25 people, people I didn't know. And every person, one by one, had to step into the middle of the circle and state their deepest, darkest fear.
Mm,
And I didn't know what mine was, and I'm like buzzing. I'm like very deep into this medicine.
mm.
And I just didn't know. And I'm also kind of stage fright, like,
Yeah, been put
you
on the
know,
spot, right?
all of these things were building up. I didn't really want to participate in the workshop, but they were
Yeah.
like, let's go, you're doing it, which was great. And so it became my turn, and I step into the middle of the circle, and it just comes out of me. I'm just like, my deepest fear is that if I'm not successful, then no one will love me. I won't be
Mm,
loved. And everyone was like, I remember it was like, oh, and then everyone came in and came in for this big hug. And
mm,
I just started crying, crying, crying. It just came over me. And then after, like weeks after, I'm like processing, like, what was this? Like, this thing was so deep inside of me, this
mm,
success complex,
mm.
that came out through this process. Like, I didn't even know I had that.
Yeah,
But it's
because
like
you
everything I've been telling you, like, points to that. But at that moment in time, 4 years ago, I didn't realize that was a
because you
thing.
weren't unsuccessful ever, right? Like I feel like
Yeah.
that's how we run from our shadows in a lot of ways. It's like when someone tells me like, "Oh, like I don't have a fear of being dumb at all." Like I don't have a problem when people call me dumb. It's like, yeah, because you probably were in a society where you were always considered smart and you don't
Yeah.
put yourself in positions where you have to learn something new and where you could be considered
Yeah.
not smart, you know?
Exactly. I had been climbing all of these mountains and reaching all
Mm,
these goals. It was like I was just so busy doing that all the time, completely getting as far away as possible from this fear that I guess had
Yeah.
been living deep, deep inside of me my entire
Mm.
life.
Yeah. I feel like that's like in general in motherhood, I feel like shadow work was such a big thing for me. You've done a lot of TBM shadow work as well, right?
Yeah.
Or like
Oh,
some of
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And I feel like I had to revisit so many shadows again when I got pregnant of like being lazy, also of not being successful, and all these things that I felt like I had integrated before, but like they just come up in a completely different way when you're
Yeah.
pregnant, when you have children and everything. Like, how
It's
would you
crazy.
say, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but how would
Yeah.
you say success has changed, like your definition of
Mm.
success?
It's completely transformed. So, you know, by the time I had lost that job, was in the middle of my second pregnancy,
Mm,
I went through all of these stages of fear and letting go of that identity,
mm,
of the page from your light space on Instagram, the page of this marketing VP, like this new identity, whatever. I had gone through all of these stages of like just letting that go and like laying it to rest
mm,
and just being here right now. And I realized, through this second motherhood process, which was again very difficult, very taxing, very beautiful, I just stopped and realized, like, okay, this is where I am supposed to be right now.
mm,
And oh, by the way, if I just open my eyes and look around, I'm seeing what I saw as that 6-year-old
mm.
outside in the backyard, eyes closed, visualizing this scenery. Like, oh, I'm here. It's literally right here.
Yeah, so
But
beautiful.
it's just me and my family, of course, but
Yeah.
it's me stripped of all these like accolades and like gold stars and like,
Mm,
being somebody is
yeah.
is gone, and this is it. I'm in the environment I want to be in. I have my family, which I'm learning day by day is the most important thing to
Mm,
me. And I had many moments of being like, ooh, should I like change? Should I like go and become a health coach? Ooh, should I like go and do this certification again? Or should I do this?
mm.
Should I do that?
After you made the decision to step away from your
Yeah, like
business
these like
again.
little like
Yeah.
aftershocks still come in, and it's like, oh, that would be funny to create content about. Ooh, what if I do?
Mm,
No, and then it's like, okay. And then I sit with it and I let it go. And I sit
mm.
with it and I remember. And I sit with it and I'm just like, nah, can't really be fucking bothered, honestly.
Oh, I'm getting so emotional hearing that because I feel like you're of course way further along that whole path, but I can totally relate because I just made the decision to like step away from and not take on any new coaching clients and stuff. And also, let me be honest, it's not like I have thousands of clients waiting there. Like I basically over the last year was still working with the clients that I had from doing my yoga classes before I got
Yeah.
pregnant, and I would actually have to like go into all the marketing again and everything right now. So and yeah, I'm just trying to trust that. And it feels so right in the I feel
Yeah.
like I don't know how it was for you, but like did you have one pivotal moment where you felt like your nervous system was so relaxed that you could let that tornado just take over?
Honestly, I feel it was really the whole process and then many reminders along the way of like I needed a lot of stop signs from the universe for some reason. I'm stubborn. Like,
Yeah.
when this whole tsunami started to hit, there was also this other thing that I tried to jump to, which was like, okay, online is out. My dream is to buy a beautiful piece of land and build a retreat space.
Mm,
And then I found a piece of land and I dove straight into that process, and then again, it was stop sign, stop sign, stop sign. And then there were like legality problems with the land, engineering problems. And then at some point, the owner passed away. She was
oh,
old and she was ill. And so again, it was just like the
you couldn't
door
tell it
just
to you
slammed.
any.
It was like, and in Greece, when that happens, like, good luck. Good luck. Check back in 5 years, probably.
Really? Wow.
Like, it was a door slam in my face again. And I think that was the moment of like, okay, wake up and just be where you are. We
That
are okay. Everything is fine. Why don't you just take a break and
yeah.
just be here? It feels better anyway. Let go
Mm,
of this pressure that I'm putting on myself for like no reason. Like just
yeah.
the world continues to spin. Just let go.
What would you feel like you were avoiding to surrender to?
Oh my God, that's a really good question. I honestly, what comes up is it's the identity.
Mm,
It's this, okay, but if I let this business persona profile thing go, then it's gone, which is not
mm.
really true, is it? Like you can always reinvent ourselves. But that was the
But of course, you
chatter.
work very hard for something over many years, and when
Yeah.
you're self-employed,
Yeah.
and even when you're employed, you just can't
Yeah.
just go back and keep
It's
up where
hard to
you
let
were.
go. It can be hard to
Yeah.
just let it go and rest,
Mm,
you know?
yeah.
Um,
And
but I
how would,
did. Somehow I did. I really went through like a dark, it's still kind of blurry to me for
yeah.
which is insane, but I was just embracing that. And then also we came here, A, because my husband's from here and I came here when I was like 16 and I was like, I'm gonna marry a man from this place and I'm gonna live here one day. And like
Oh,
literally I'm like, that's also why I'm here. But he has a passion project that he wants to go after. So I'm also like, you know what? What if I dive into motherhood, which is what also my energy healer has been telling me for the last 2 years.
wow, yeah.
Everyone, like, oh my God, everything's just like, Paige, stop, stop, stop. Just like rest, stay still. And what if he gets to just dive into his passion, which is also completely different path than what he's
Yeah.
used to? And what if we just try it? Just let go and try. And so I think it was that, maybe 9 months ago or so, like that's when I really was just like, okay, and every day we practice just letting this go and being right where we are,
Yeah, and I mean
you
it's
know?
tough because like it's not necessarily tough, it's just a very different way of relationship as well, right? From what you explained, you two were independent, you two made good money, you both had your own businesses, and then ultimately being like, okay, we are a family system. I am taking care of the children most of the day, which is what I guess what's your setup right now, right?
Pretty much,
To
yeah.
support him providing for our family. And I feel like sometimes it's really hard to not see it as you can like keep growing
Yeah.
and I'm stuck here.
It was really hard. It's really hard to not see it that way, but it in a way was like, okay, now why don't we just give you the space to embark on a passion?
Yeah.
And, you know, which he's also a very hands-on dad, which
Yeah.
is amazing. But it's just I knew that that was the right thing to do.
Mm,
I know that it's the right thing for me
yeah.
to be at home with my babies during these first months, year, whatever.
Mm,
And if that's a possibility, and if all of the things around me are pointing to doing that, why don't I just do it
yeah.
and just embrace it? And it's not easy. It's really hard
I can
sometimes.
imagine.
Sometimes it's amazing, but it's like it can be really hard, obviously. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's I don't know. Yeah. It can be hard.
You go through the waves, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now, we have a completely different life. We are living a completely different reality where we're about a year into this passion project, which we're sourcing antiques and vintage pieces from all over the Mediterranean and Europe
Wow.
and getting into like interior styling. And it's like, it's so different. For him, it was always like his passion,
Mm,
but for me, it's something completely different. And then I'm just at this place now where I trust and I'm comfortable that like, okay, and that's where I am now. And I always used to tell clients this. I probably told you this in our coaching before. Play 10 out of 10 where you are. Where
mm,
exactly where you are. Be
yeah.
there 100%. Try to
Yeah.
always remember to just like be there 100%, not trying to emulate and fake being at that next step. Even if
Mm.
that's where you want to get, you
Which
have to
is
be
so
here.
different to so much business advice that you get, right? Like
It's
so much
so
you're just like
crazy.
fake it until you make it and all that.
There
Yeah.
is like a fine line. It's like, okay, yes, we need to be in this energy of being who we want to become,
Mm.
if you get it. But you also have to like play 10 out of 10 where you are because you're not going to get over this bridge by
Mm.
pretending that you're over there. You actually have to
Mm.
walk over
Yeah.
this bridge with your legs and your
Yeah.
feet,
Step
you
by
know?
step.
So I kind
Yeah.
of applied that principle here and I always remind myself like, hey, I don't have to have it all figured out. Like
Yeah.
this is also just a chapter,
Yeah.
you know?
I completely understand that and I completely resonate with that because for me, what I found really hard, and I'm still doing this podcast, which is like I'm not working anymore, but I'm still like working 1 day a week on making podcasts and stuff. But that feels easy to me and that feels like it gives me energy.
That's
So,
great.
but at the same time, like the other day, I literally made a list of all the things that are overwhelming me in my household and send it to ChatGPT. I was like, make me a plan so I can like prep food, do all these things. And I'm like almost enjoying being like, let's say 90% in
Yeah.
motherhood or
Yeah.
95% in motherhood and like house tending and whatever, which I thought I
Yeah.
would never in my life do, but I'm loving it. I love that my
Yeah.
house is like that I'm keeping it clean, that I'm making bread. I'm like doing all these things with my hands that
Fun. Yes.
and like while I say it, there is some shame that comes up because I was raised very differently than that of like, oh, like you're just a housewife and stuff. But I'm really learning to like appreciate that and see how beautiful that is. And as you said, like give 10 out of 10 for the phase that I'm in right now and
Yeah.
trust that life is gonna change again probably at
Yeah.
some point. And when it does, it does.
It is. It is. Like I told you when we first got hopped on, like next month, both of my kids start Kita.
Mm,
So it's like, okay, that's also just my whole day has now just
yeah,
turned upside down, and that's going to be a whole process. And like
yeah,
maybe then some little whispers from the universe will come in and some interests will appear and some
yeah,
opportunities, who knows, or maybe not. So it really it does change. And
yeah,
it's like it's never you're not stuck in one chapter for too long.
yeah,
So just be there and embrace it. And yeah, I have these conversations with so many people who used to be in that space in
yeah.
coaching or doing whatever, like, and I realized like, wow, people really do you just change and it's
Yeah, I
fine.
think we are in a different era as well. Like I noticed so many people who have kids had kids before me. So I like followed them on Instagram and then I saw, oh, they're getting pregnant. And then like a couple of months later, I got pregnant and I
Yeah.
just followed their journey. And it's almost like I can always see a little bit what's gonna happen. Like people who have
Yeah.
like, had big coaching practices and stuff, and they're just
Yeah.
like, I just can't do it anymore right now. I just want to be a mom. I just want my husband to provide for us financially. And I just want to and it's I find it such an interesting topic because like I always talk about this like feminism of like how feminism was supposed to give us a choice, but it's almost like taking away the choice sometimes because it almost feels
Sometimes,
like you
yeah.
have to do it all. Like you're it's just this crux that every woman has to struggle with. When you're at home with your children, people tell you you should be working. When you're working, that people tell you you should be more with your children.
It's so much.
Um, but I do feel like there's just such an uprise of people more and more kind of going back to old ways, but with in a new way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like in a more
I think it
empowered way because
does.
you're
I think
choosing.
our yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
But
think our generation of people really went through this awakening and
mm,
revival, and I think we are learning these
yeah.
lessons. I think people are they did go inward. There's so many, I just if you zoom out and look at like what's happening with the collective and with the world, um, there's so many events that have occurred that at least in our world, I think it shakes people awake.
Mm,
There's these jolts that are
yeah.
happening, whether it's war, whether it's economics, whether it's this or that or whatever, pandemics, doesn't matter. People are somehow waking up more and more, I think, to
Mm,
these things and these dynamics and these things that need to be healed and karmic loops and I do believe and have hope that we are, it is different. It is changing in
yeah.
that more positive way.
Yeah, I agree. It's almost like people's worst fears are happening, right? Why people stay in their corporate jobs is because they're afraid that the other thing is not going to give them security. Like having your own business, traveling the world is not going to give them security. Or now it's almost like you don't dare to move into the countryside because then you're disconnected to your potential clients or whatever. Or people don't dare to fully choose motherhood because it's not secure enough. But with all these rock bottoms that are happening collectively, it's like it's gonna happen anyway, and you're still gonna be fine. So you might as well just choose what makes you
Yeah.
happy and trust that the universe is gonna support that.
Yeah. I mean, if you just look at what if you just look back at the last 6 years, it's
Mm.
like
It's
there's
crazy.
your proof,
It is so
that
crazy.
it's happening no matter what. And maybe in my experience, there were lessons to just be learned. There was
Mm.
karma to clean up.
Yeah,
There were loops that I needed to close. And I think
yeah,
that's in hindsight, I'm like, okay, that's probably what that was all about. And I got
yeah.
to go through these experiences, meet all these amazing people. Like it's a very complex journey, but I feel great. There's no regret for
That's what
me.
I was also gonna say because what I hear from your story, it's not like, oh, like I was doing this whole thing that was so unaligned. Like it was aligned for an amount of time, for a good
Yeah.
amount of time, and then it was just not aligned anymore. And I think
Yeah.
that's what can be so scary about motherhood, because I think for so many people, that's really like it just shifts your values. Everything can just shift in a blink of an eye, or in the birth of a child, maybe not a blink of an eye.
Blink of in the birth in one push.
And it's really, really scary. But like, I remember when I gave birth in Berlin, I gave birth in Havelhöhe. Do you know the
I've heard of
hospital?
that one.
Yeah,
Yeah, nice
it was,
one.
I mean, birth wasn't the greatest
Or
experience, but they did a really great job, as
yeah,
good as they could. And I remember this anthroposophic doctor saying to us, like, the healthiest people in life are actually parents because they have to stay the most flexible in life because you just cannot follow one straight line in parenthood. Like
yeah,
not just mothers,
no,
dads as well.
yeah.
And I feel like that is just, yeah, such a description of how
It's
flexible.
so true. I mean, and that relates to everything as it relates to like food, time, schedules, moods, your energy level. It always has to be ready to accommodate.
Yeah. Okay. We went through so much stuff. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What would you say when you could go back to your younger self? What would you say? And like, which version of you would you say would have needed your advice most?
Mm. I think the version, honestly, I have to say, my mind takes me back to this like early Your Light Space
Mm,
stage. It takes me back to like the girl who just launched her group program right when things were starting to grow and momentum was starting to build. I think that's where I could have used some guidance of like, hey, remember these things are important, these things are not as important, or like watch out for this or that. I think if I would have like regarding my young self, like my 23, 24, 25, the girl who was like taking this leap of faith from leaving the United States and moving to Europe with a blindfold on her face. I think she needed that. Like just stay blindfolded.
yeah.
All of your assumptions, keep them, whatever, it'll work
Yeah.
itself out. Don't worry. Like I
Yeah.
think she needed that jet fuel. I think where I really could have used it was when the whole topic of self-worth, money, success, identity, I think this entanglement is where
Mhm.
I could have used the
And what
page.
advice would it be that you would give?
I think I would have just been like, this is not your identity. And maybe your profession will never be your identity, but that doesn't mean you can't enjoy it to the fullest and love it. But let purpose, here's what I would have said. I would have said,
Mhm.
let purpose work have a very broad definition and a
Mm.
lot of range and flexibility. It doesn't have to be into this one corner. That's okay.
Mm.
Take it easy. Have fun.
Because I have so many like people in my life right now, like from friends to former clients who are like, I know something new is coming, but I just don't know what it is yet. And people are really, it's almost like I feel like people are freaking out because they feel this pressure to already know what their next identity is. They feel like unaligned with their old one. They feel afraid that they'll get stuck. Like, what is it that you would give those people as an advice?
I honestly, in hindsight, look, that's a tsunami that's probably coming your way, and it's coming. Like
You can't
I
avoid
can
it.
I can tell you all the advice in the world, but
Yeah.
baby, that wave is coming to take you out. So just go with it. If you just go with
Yeah.
it, and it's a process. Going with it becomes a process in and of
Yeah.
itself. Just relax, embrace it, and you will see why soon. You'll see
Yeah.
the light at the end of that tunnel, and then you'll see the next light at the end of the tunnel, and so on and so on and
Mm.
so on.
Yeah.
To just embrace it, and it's actually can be really exciting.
Yeah.
You're probably not going to regret it.
It's such a practice in surrender, isn't it? Because you
Yeah.
just cannot see the light at the tunnel yet. And that is just part of the process. And I feel like the
Yeah.
people in the self-development work, we're oftentimes trying to already understand the silver
Yes.
lining before it's there, because we know from the past there's
Yeah.
always was a silver lining. So it like almost gives us some form of control back. But it's like
Yeah. It's a
it
coping
re
mechanism,
yeah,
basically.
yeah.
It is. So I would just say embrace it. You're probably not going to be disappointed. You're probably going to look back and be really happy or like
Mm,
grateful or just feeling good about how things unfolded. So just try to let it unfold. When the storm gets loud, just try to remember to just let
yeah.
it unfold and keep going.
Mhm. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then last question, how are you currently choosing self-love over fear in your life?
Ooh. Well, yesterday I deleted Instagram off my phone. Like I signed out and I am like a type of person with passwords. It's like impossible for me to like sign back in without it being really difficult. So that's a way that I chose self-love because I'm like, you know what? I really don't need all of this fear-based
Mm,
content about everything right now. Like
yeah,
you click on one thing, you watch one thing, and then you're just fed this loop of
yeah.
content. And I'm like, I'm actually going to just realize that I'm going to step away from this and I'm choosing self-love in that sense versus
Mm,
this fear loop.
yeah,
Um, that's the biggest action that I took in that regard in the
yeah.
last days. Yeah.
Beautiful. And it's like what we talked about before we actually started recording, I think, right? When you live in the countryside or you live by the seaside and you don't have all this like city influence, and also the same comes from Instagram, you almost like you it's become so much more true what's inside rather that's
Yeah.
than the noise or the influence from outside.
It's so true. Actually, I had a conversation with many people, they're
Mm,
like, and it's many people in my life from Berlin who they live in these big cities. They are
mm,
surrounded by this candy store of input, spiritual activities, blah, 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 blah. And people will ask, I want to leave too. I want to move. I want to change my life. But like, did you find conscious community there? Did you find this kind of scene there? Is there this kind of thing going on? Like they're looking for something to just plug themselves into, which I completely
mm,
understand. I also would have wanted that. But what I've realized in answering that question is like, actually, no. I'm in like a small town where it's not Berlin. It's not you walk outside and it's a candy store of every
mm,
single flavor of yoga, breath work, et cetera, et cetera.
mm.
It's not. It's
Yeah,
not at all. It's
yeah.
like a barren desert when it comes to that. But what we have are the mountains, and we
Yeah.
have the sea, and we have nature, and we have animals, and we have sunshine. And I have never felt more spiritually connected than I do now,
Mm,
actually.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
it
because in
is,
the end, in the city, you have all these things that are supposed to connect you spiritually, but like the most spiritual connection you can have is with yourself and with
with
nature
yourself.
as being
Exactly.
part of a cyclical life.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
yeah, oh, that's so beautiful. And with that, I wanted to ask something earlier, which I forgot to ask. How are the people in Greece? Like, how is motherhood in Greece? Like, because I feel like that influences
Oh,
you a lot as well, no?
I love it here because the first thing I noticed, so I moved here with a 3, 4 month old baby,
Mm.
and he was like in my, on my chest in the carrier. And we would go out for walks, and everyone would touch him and like tickle his foot,
Yeah,
squeeze his cheek, do these little like cute Greek blessings, like blah, 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 like
yeah,
to his face. And not just old people. Like old people
yeah,
do it a lot,
yeah.
like you'd see like an old man, an old lady. But then like I was at a cafe and like probably like a 20-year-old guy.
Mm-hmm.
Came up, was like, oh, rubbing his head. And I'm like, wow, like it just showed me that everyone, like they embrace children. They
Yeah,
love children here.
totally.
And so this was really beautiful.
Mm.
Um, family, like kids, Southern Mediterranean countries operate on a completely different like frequency, I feel, but
Yeah.
like the kids are involved in everything, and my instinct is to like get a babysitter, but you go to the restaurant at like 11 p.m. and there's like kids running around everywhere. It's
Yeah.
just kids are part of everything.
Yeah.
And so that's been really beautiful. And in general, like the town that I live in, on a Thursday night, you'll just see groups of young preteens, probably 12, 13 years old, which feels
Mm.
pretty young. Groups just running around town by
Yeah.
themselves, kids just walking around like at 10 p.m. on a Thursday night or Friday night. And it's like this freedom that exists that I feel
Mhm.
like, at least where I'm from, is now like dangerous. You can't,
Yeah.
there's still this innocence here.
Interesting. Yeah,
So
beautiful.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting how different countries are in that way. I remember when I was pregnant, we were in Italy and like people would just touch my belly. And I know there's a lot of
Yeah.
German women who hate that. I found it honestly so weird how in Germany sometimes people wouldn't like at all say anything when you were obviously mega pregnant or
Yeah.
like and I think everyone's different in that way, but I found it really refreshing because I felt like, yeah, it's just like the family's integrated and it's just like
Yeah.
it's welcomed and it's not like these separate lives that you have to live, which
Yeah.
is so nice for parents as well to just be like,
Yeah.
yeah, like I mean, even there's so many weddings now where kids aren't invited, and I feel like probably in Greece that's such a foreign concept I can imagine.
Completely foreign concept. You just look over and you'll just see kids asleep on the ground in the
Yeah.
corner because it's 2 in the morning and the
Yeah.
wedding is still going.
Yeah,
Like,
amazing. Oh, oh, well, that sounds like you're living such a beautiful life, and I love that we're reconnecting like
yeah,
this. You in
thank you
Greece,
so
me in
much for
in the
having
English
me.
countryside. Yeah, and yeah, I'm just wishing you all the best, and I love this episode. I'm so excited
Me
to get
too.
this.
I'm excited to watch it back.
All right. Do you want to say anything else? You want to share anything that you feel like is important to share? Um,
Honestly, no. Like, yeah, no marketing
yeah,
plugs.
that's what I was just thinking.
No.
Oh, but it's so
Stay
beautiful.
healthy, everybody.
Yeah.
Stay.
Stay healthy, connected.
Drink your water. Drink water. Try to get some sunshine and yeah, try to get sleep.
Oh, amazing. Okay. Bye, everyone.